Hello. All right, I'm going to try this one more time. I've been having a little bit of trouble with my recording. We'll see if this records. All right, we are going to spawn and control our players today. Our characters, I should say. So underneath the network player, we're going to go to scripts, and we're going to open up player script. We've already worked on this a little bit. We're going to finish it today and have basic controls. So over here, we are going to have, you already have some of this. You should already have this. Or not here, sorry, wrong one. Here, we should have, you should already have this stuff. We're going to have a sync var public game object my character. And we're going to talk about this in a moment. This is going to be the character we're going to control inadvertently or indirectly. We're also going to have our three prefabs, or the different types of characters: the cube, the capsule, and cylinder, or sphere that we made yesterday or last movie. So in our start, you should have up to here already. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a game object temp, and then based on the classification, recall that classification is what we got from the lobby manager when we did our player script, or our lobby manager player script. This is going to be from the choice, and based on that choice, we're going to make a specific character. This would be an example of having the player pick which character they want to make on an authoritarian server. So here, if it's 0, instantiate cube, prefab, vector, position, rotation, and I do this because I'm old, but apparently don't have to do this anymore. You used to have to cast as a game object. So I'm going to do this for 3 different types of characters. Now, look, take note, this is local. This is only happening on a server. We are still inside if is server, so this is only happening local. The clients do not know about this object at all. After this, I'm going to get the component character network controller. This is what we worked on yesterday. And if we go over here, we'll see that we have our owner. We created the owner's script for it. And we're going to set that to this.player name. This is going to come. We're going to come back and talk about why we do this. Notice that this is also sync var, although it doesn't actually have to be sync var, but I figured everyone on the network should know. And then we're going to spawn on the network. So right now this is a local object, and then when it hits network server.spawn, now it's spawned to all the clients. This is nifty for a couple reasons. One, I can create the object and then set a value like I did here, and then to push it out to all the clients. Or on certain circumstances, I may not need to push it out to other computers. It can be a local object only. This is usually in things such as like effects and UI, but sometimes you want to just create the object and then have it local only. It doesn't have any real bearing to the game. Those situations are far rarer, but they do happen. After I've created this on the network, then I'm going to say my character equals the temp object, and this will actually be on a server. It's still inside the server, therefore, and this is a sync var, so if we needed it, the client could actually use this variable. And again, if I'm going too fast, please pause the video. I want you to keep up with me on this. Now in our update, we're going to have to try to control this character. It's a little bit more tricky than what you might expect. We're going to have what we normally have done in the past is we get the local player input, and then we call a command, and the command moves this object. Well, we don't want this object to be the player script anymore, so we're going to get our inputs, call the command on this object, and then this command is going to call a server only function in our character network controller to move the object. So let's break this down and see what's happening here. One, this is going to be on a client. Yes, I know if it's a host, it's also the server, but for the most part, this is going to be on a client. So this will not run, and this can't run this function here. This is server only. I had originally hoped, I want to mention something real quick, this function here, network spawn with client with authority, I had originally hoped that this would allow the new character to act as a player object, and so I could just say if local player, send a command move. This function only works if the current the object you're spawning has local player authority. So since we're not using local player authority, this will not work. So I have to figure out another way to get to the server. So this function will only run the server, and the server is the only one who can change our character, even though it's for us. So here we're going to call a command and send in the vertical, horizontal, and a name, and then the command will be run on this script, but on the server. That's the catch. That's why this is important. Then what we're going to do is find our character, get component character network, and send the information in. But we're on the server, so it's okay. We can invoke this. Then on the server, over here, we're going to take in our forward, our turn, and our owner. And if the rig is not null, this is just in case to check for a race condition. I don't think we should have any problems, but just to double check. And in here, if this.owner equals O. So here I'm checking to make sure I actually have the authority to move this character. Technically, this is probably not necessary, because if everything goes correctly, the only character I'll be calling this command is the character that I've created here, which is for me. However, just to be there's nothing protecting this object from getting another call, another script on a server calling this function. So in order to give a little bit of extra protection, I check to see if this.owner is in fact equal to O, the player object name we sent in. If it is, then I set the rigid velocity and angular velocity. One mistake I made before is I deleted this forward thinking it was a typo. It actually wasn't. It was a bad naming convention on my part. This is what gives you the ability to stop moving forward, so make sure you put this forward back in. I do apologize about that. So once we have that set up, and we can go back to our game, run it. You still will not have the network manager, and we're going to do that next game. We host, type in our name. Let's pick the capsule. Get ready. And now you'll see I can rotate and move, and actually this will work on multiplayer as well. And you should see the leg is not too bad, and it's actually pretty synchronized. So now we should be able to spawn our own objects and put send our data from the lobby manager. Also note that should something happen to this character, so for some reason my cylinder player just dies, I'm still connected. Like, so my character died for some reason, it's gone, but I am not disconnected. My network's still intact. I can actually get the score of the game or get any game state that I'm allowed to at this point. I could, if there was functionality, I could respawn. So this is a much better place to be than what we had in a previous example.